Well, I'd like to play a mandolin tune that I wrote a while back, and the man that gave me my first real hardcore bluegrass job was the late great Red Allen, who played for many years in this area, and I bet you I was the first kid from New Jersey to become a member of the Kentuckians. And about a year or two before Red passed away, we got together in a recording studio and did a project called the Bluegrass Reunion. And I wrote this little mandolin piece to play with Red. And I named it after the little town in Kentucky where he was from, called Pigeon Roost. So we're going to feature Chad Manning on the mandolin. We're going to play a little mandolin duet for you on Pigeon Roost.
Not for kids only. The album art is, of course, an amazing work of art that we have here, known by fans everywhere as Garcia Grisman. The art piece is titled Garcia Grisman.
Yeah.
And it is literally, just so you know, one of the most, if not the most popular piece out of this entire collection.
Wow.
And I can actually say that because, of course, we know what the numbers are.
Wow.
And right behind that is Wetlands 1.
See, I don't get a penny out of that.
Well,
No. I didn't do it. Well, see, Jerry is a very talented artist, and I said, hey, you want to do the cover, And, he would actually, I had this idea, make a kids album. And nobody at my company thought it was very viable. And Jerry didn't want to do it. I pitched it to him. And, I hate kids, I don't, So he would call, he would just call up out of the blue and come over every once in a while, So one day it was raining real hard, and he called up, I'm coming over. And actually, Bernard, our friend Bernard Glanspeak, was hanging out when Jerry called, and I said, hey, Bernard, can you go find a book of kids' tunes?
okay.
And he came back with this book, 2,000 children's songs. So Jerry showed up. I said, hey, and it was just going to be the two of us. Sometimes we recorded with guys in my band. And I said, hey, this kid's idea, why don't we just try a couple of, he starts looking, oh, Freight Train, that's a good song. Boom, we did Freight Train. 2 takes, sounded great. Because one thing about kid songs, they're simple, And then, here's a horse named Bill, I know that, boom. And so we made 3 or 4 of these tunes, and then we continued, and he'd go out of town, and I'd edit them, work on them, I'd overdub stuff. He kind of put me in charge of production, so.
Well, your vision is dead on, because I talk to people a lot about it, and every now and then we get phone calls or letters, we get lots of letters, and so often I asked a few people, this print, this art is so popular, what's turning you on about it? And I get this answer a lot, and this is the answer. I love the album, I play it for my children. And another one, a friend of ours, Jeremy, said to me tonight, he goes, my father played me that album, and now I play it for my kids. So your vision was spot on.
Well,
and I was wondering, did you guys ever take it and play for a group of kids? Ever do that live at all?
We might have done it one time. Not really. I've done things with my wife Tracy and my sons, both of my sons, Monroe and Sam. I've got some grandkids that have been going to and Sam himself went to this little camp in Marin County called Stephen Cates Camp. And by the time I had grandkids old enough to go there, we'd go play for them and do a lot of those songs. But the thing about that artwork, so I asked Jerry if he'd do the cover,
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, cool. And of course, it just wasn't happening, Finally, when the record was done and everything, Jerry, he was over. I said, Jerry, we need this cover,
Right.
So he goes out to his car and he brings his pad, you know, and he pens and paints, and he did that thing in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He just sketched this thing just out of his head, you know. And I mean, I think he really nailed himself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm look a little weird, but and then he just dabbed some watercolor on it, and there it was. You know, it was like I mean, I don't think the whole thing took more than 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's
You
so
know,
exciting.
and he just did it right on the spot. Well, speaking of Jerry, we'll do a song that Jerry and I recorded on our first Garcia Grisman album. Another one that we learned from Doc Watson and Clarence Ashley. Walking Boss. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I wish Jerry would have made it longer, man, because he said to me, you know, we'll do this for the rest of our lives, you know.
Yeah.
And he, of course, did. And
Not too soon.
yeah, that was a shock. But I'm glad we got a chance to get back together, and it was, you know, we made a lot of music. Just in a, I mean, I really like, you know, playing in a living room or in a studio. I mean, it was very. And I think Decibel Dave really captured his voice, you know, as good as it ever had been recorded.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. You can feel the intimacy in the recording, and you feel like you're there when you listen to it, which is about as awesome as it gets.
He's a very special guy.
Driving through